The next pair we are going to be looking at is the USD JPY, and in fact the USD JPY, though we had some profitable situations here on the USD JPY, but it appears price is caught within a choppy scenario right now on the USD JPY. So what do we have here? So during the live session yesterday, this was the scenario we had during the live session yesterday. So we were around the 1,850 level, where we already had a sell position running after the breakdown of the 1,850. Remember, and I told you that for those who had missed out on the opportunity right below the 1,850, we want to be getting ready to add more position at the breakdown of the 1,845, which is a structure we took into consideration during the live session yesterday, and this is exactly what happened. We saw a breakdown of that 1,845, which gave us about 2,000 pips in profit before this bullish momentum began during the later part of the New York session yesterday. So now going into the New York session today, what is going to be our plan on the XAU/USD? Are we going to continue to look forward to selling opportunities here, or we should be thinking of buying the XAU/USD? Well, before I go into that details, let's quickly run through the daily time frame, where we are going to be looking at this chart from an holistic perspective. Let's see what is really going on in this market at this particular point in time. Now, on the daily time frame, remember at the beginning of the week, we were able to identify some simple structures here, which we said we will be using to guide our trading activity for this year. And the very important structure we have here is the 1,800 level, which has been a major determinant of price action throughout last year. And look at what happened during the first half of last year. We saw that 1,800 was serving as a buy accumulation zone before it incited this bullish momentum that started in the month of February, culminating at around the $2,050 level. However, afterwards, price action spiraled back down into that 1,800. We saw another attempt by the buyers to break out of that structure, but the buy momentum around this level here within the month of June wasn't that strong enough, as we saw sellers take over the market, leading back into the final breakdown of the 1,800. And throughout the second half of last year, as soon as price broke down that structure, price has continued to trade below the 1,800 level, further emphasizing the strength of the sellers at this point. And look at what happened during the last month of last year. We saw that as soon as price got back into the 1,800, we saw our price was caught within a huge consolidation phase, emphasizing the indecision in this market, as participants are not sure if the breakout of the 1,800 is actually a false one, or probably we might be having a trend continuation from that level. And look at what happened since the beginning of the year. We saw that we have been witnessing bullish momentum as price continued to climb, find higher highs. However, yesterday we saw this bearish move, and I'm of the opinion that this bearish move might be a retracement of this impulse leg, which price might likely come back into our golden zone area, which could be the 50, between the 50 and the 78.6% of the previous impulse leg, to incite another wave of bullish momentum. That is one expectation we should be looking forward to here. Or we could be looking forward to a breakdown of that bullish trend line, which also shares a confluence with the 1,800 to incite a bearish momentum at this point. So at this point, we need to understand what is really going on around the $1,830 level here to decipher what our next line of action will be. Is this going to be the culmination of the retracement phase to incite another wave of bullish momentum? That is the retracement into the structure to insert another wave of bullish momentum, or we are going to be seeing an outright breakdown of that structure to break down the 1,800 in anticipation of a bearish momentum. So we are going to be looking at the importance of the 1,830 on our lower time frame. So let's scale back to the lower time frame, identify the 1,830, and let's use that as the basis for our trading activity for today. So now back to the 1 hour time frame here. We already have let's see the 1,830, which falls around this level here. I would like to readjust this 1,832 to fit into the 1830 zone. So we can see we have something around here, and we shall be relabeling this one as the 1830, which we'll be using to guide our trading activity for today. So this is what we have here right now. And if we look at what has been happening here in the last 18 hours on the XAUUSD, you will notice that though we have this retracement phase, as we saw, by pressure finding higher lows, and as soon as price tested the 1840 during the early hours of today, we have been witnessing selling pressure from that level. And I think I shared this on my public platform, where I was able to connect the series of higher lows here, and we identify the sell window at the 1840, stating that if price breaks down this bullish trend line, we are going to be in for selling momentum. So we had a position triggered at around the 1838. If you are part of this trade, kudos to you for being on standby to catch that move. At this point, I would advise us to move our stop loss to somewhere right above the 1840, which has been an area where we have been witnessing selling pressure. So at this point, this is what we are going to be looking forward to for today. Since we already had the breakdown of that bullish trend line, I'm looking forward to price coming back into the structure, coming back into this area. Look out for selling pressure on our lower time frame. Then we could join that decline to the downside. And if price breaks down the 1830, remember that structure we identified on the lower time frame, then probably a retest of structure should incite another opportunity to add more position to our existing trade on the XAUUSD. So remember, we are anticipating the NFP for today, so we don't know how our participant in this market is going to be reacting to that event. So let's have an open mind so that we can be able to take advantage of whatever possibility that comes in during that New York session. So in that regard, we're also going to take into consideration the possibilities that buyer might likely come in at this point in time. And if we are going to be buying the XAUUSD, we want to see price break out of the 1840, taking out all the sell position around this area to give us a confirmation that buyers have come to stay at this point. And considering the higher lows we have been identifying here since the later part of New York session yesterday, this might likely be a good sign that buyers, if a breakout of the 1840 happened, we might likely be seeing a bullish momentum going in from that point. Now, if a bullish momentum comes in at this point and price continue to find higher highs and higher lows, then I want us to take into consideration this bearish trend line, which has been holding selling pressure since the beginning of this week. Remember, we were able to connect the series of lower highs here to give us that bearish trend line, and that level also shares a confluence with that $1,850 level, a level which was broken and retested during yesterday's trading session. So if price continues to the upside, and as soon as price gets into both of the structure here, that is the 1850 and the bearish trend line here, we want to be moving our stop loss to somewhere around the 1845 level, lock in some profit, and wait out to see how price action is going to be reacting to the $1850 level. So if selling pressure comes in below the structure here and probably breakdown retest of a reversal pattern, then we want to be seeing this as another opportunity to join that bearish momentum to the downside. Hereby price action has respected that bearish trend line, and that means the bearish trend line is still strong enough to hold selling pressure. That is one scenario we are looking forward to. And if the contrary happens, that is price breaks out both the bearish trend line and the 1850 level here, a retest of structure followed by buying pressure right above the structure should be giving us an opportunity to add more position to our existing trade here on the XAUUSD. But from my own personal point of view, I'm still of the opinion that selling pressure is still coming in here. So we continue to look out for selling pressure from below the 1840 or from below the 1850. Whichever case happens, we want to be on standby to catch that move when it happens. So on this note, I would like to call it a day. But before I do, let's do a recap of what our expectations are on all of the pairs we have been monitoring since the beginning of this week.